why do you stay anxious even though you're doing all of the things that you're supposed to be doing to help your anxiety? Maybe you're on medication, maybe you're going to therapy, you're doing all of the things, you're restructuring your thoughts, you're not catastrophizing, but you're still anxious. And there's a really good reason for this, is because anxiety actually has two root causes. There is psychological anxiety, which is like, it's created with your thoughts. So you worry, you think anxious thoughts, and that creates anxiety. But there's also physical anxiety. So physical anxiety is almost like it's either subconscious or maybe the body is detecting something, like even like a virus can make us anxious, like something's not right. And so when something is not right in the body, thoughts aren't going to help you. Like you feel anxious, like you feel it in your body. And now that I pointed out, you're probably going to be able to kind of see this more and more, is that sometimes you're anxious in your mind, sometimes you're anxious in your body. Very, very different. And obviously they're correlated. So a lot of times the anxiety in your mind can create anxiety in your body, but not always. Sometimes you'll just be sitting there and all of a sudden you'll just be anxious for no apparent reason. Nobody knows why. You just feel all of a sudden like the pins and needles feeling, like racing heartbeat. You're just anxious. And so the reason that anxiety isn't improving for a lot of people is because they're not being treated in the twofold approach that's needed. So you actually need a treatment for the psychological anxiety, and then you need a treatment for the physical anxiety. So what we're seeing a lot is people are getting really good at kind of addressing the psychological anxiety. We have a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, etc. Like you can even learn them on TikTok here or YouTube or wherever you want to learn them. And you can improve your psychological anxiety. That's really well known. Everyone can access that. The problem is we're not really teaching the physical anxiety calming techniques. Maybe you've been exposed to them, maybe not, but I'm going to teach you one today. And so what you want to be doing is you want to look out for that like anxious feeling in your body. And when you feel that, it doesn't necessarily mean something's gone wrong, because we can actually feel anxious in the body for so many different reasons that honestly, like a lot of times we just don't know. We have no idea. And so what you need to learn to do is actually to calm the anxiety in the body. And one of my favorite techniques is tapping. So tapping is kind of like considered like a psychological acupuncture. And sometimes it looks a little strange in the beginning, but we want to use body techniques to treat body anxiety, if that makes sense. Like you need to do things to the body. And so tapping is actually really well scientifically validated now, which is, I think, surprising to hear to a lot of people because it does seem a little bit strange when you encounter it. So what we're going to do, and you can Google more about tapping. There's tons of videos on YouTube, and usually there's some type of like cognitive element to it. But the way that I've approached it and the way I've been using it is I'll use the cognitive element of tapping as well. But I've actually noticed that tapping, without even thinking about anything, allows you to relieve the physical anxiety. And for me, like I can even do this like while listening to an audiobook. Like I'll just do the tapping and it just relieves the physical anxiety, and I don't need to like be there necessarily mentally, if that makes sense. So I'm going to show you the process of tapping. Basically, you just have to memorize the kind of different areas you tap, and then you can just do it whenever you feel the physical anxiety. Usually like 2 or 3 cycles does the trick, and that's it. Like it can last as long as you want or as little as you want. So this is how it goes. So first it's the hand. So you tap on the hand, kind of the side of your hand, and then it's 2 fingers to your forehead, like this. And you can have this, like you can tap here as long as you want. Kind of practice and see like how you prefer to cycle it through. Sorry, my hair is getting in the way. Then you want just like the top of your cheekbone right here under your eye, right here. 2 fingers still. And then you want just above your mouth, right here, 1 finger now. And then just below your mouth, 1 finger. And then you want your whole hands, and you just want like to kind of hit your, I guess, just below your collarbone. And you can even notice that sometimes this like starts to have you like breathe a little bit deeper, like it's almost like a release. And then you want 2 fingers, again, sides, sides of your rib cage is where you want it, kind of like right there in the middle of the rib cage. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Like, this is a practice, you'll get better at it, but even just starting can help so much. And then last one, 2 fingers, just I guess this is the crown of your head. So right there where the head, the hairline meets the forehead. And I know it looks a little bit silly, but it's actually really, it's been like well studied now. And so if you have that physical anxiety, what you want to do is you want to just kind of go through a few cycles of that. And what you'll notice is that oftentimes it'll dissipate completely, or at least it'll relieve. And you can either kind of sit quietly with it and do the tapping, and maybe even like focus on an emotion that's making you anxious or something that, like, you know, is difficult for you. You can use some of the kind of cognitive techniques that's associated with tapping. So a lot of times it'll be something like, I feel overwhelmed right now, but I'm safe in the moment, something like that. So it's kind of that restructuring. Or you can do kind of like what I do and just like don't think about anything and just focus completely physical on physical, no mental component involved. You can just honestly like do it whenever, do it between meetings, do it before bed. It's actually been proven to improve sleep quality. So before bed is a really great time to do it, and try it out. And yeah, this is like one of the biggest issues right now in psychology, because anxiety rates are so incredibly high. And one of the reasons that this is happening, and why one of the reasons that treatments aren't really thorough, is because most of them are focusing on the cognitive element, the psychological of anxiety, and nobody is really focusing on the body. We call it kind of the somatic element. And you'll see some practitioners starting to focus this more and more and more, because we've realized like this is really needed. But for a lot of people, this is what's missing. So you need to incorporate some type of body tool to your toolkit in order to truly improve anxiety symptoms, not just only utilizing mind tools.